Hey, I wanted to make a tutorial for front cross carry. This is a good beginner carry. I'm going to be doing a tutorial showing how to hammock the waist pass and flip the shoulders. If you've never done front cross carry before, I recommend learning the basic version with no flips, just to get an idea of the pass order and how slack travels through the carry before attempting it with the hammocked waist pass and the shoulder flips, but I think they really do make this carry shine. So this is a base size carry, and I'm starting with the middle marker of the wrap in the middle of my back. I'm going to bring it under both arms. I'm going to start with the left tail pinned between my legs for now, so I don't have to mess with it. I'm going to take the right tail under my arm, the top rail going straight across, and then holding that in place, making a little bit of an angle down at my waist, towards my waist on my left side. I'm going to hold that in place with my right arm, kind of held at a right angle, with my arm horizontally at the same level that baby's bum will be when they're centered on my chest. And I'm going to reach under the wrap and grab the bottom rail. I'm going to gather that up, again to the level of baby's bum, and I'm going to flip that bottom rail, starting at my elbow, my right elbow, flip it up to make a top rail of the cross pass, and up over my left shoulder. And you can see now it looks like my right arm is in a sling sitting across the width of the wrap. And then the tail is just hanging down behind my left shoulder. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the left tail, bringing the top rail up under my left armpit, down to the right side of my waist, and holding that in place with my left arm, reaching underneath and gathering up the bottom rail, and flipping the bottom rail up and over my right shoulder. This whole carry is symmetrical, so everything we do on one side, we're going to do with the other side. So that creates the two hammocked cross passes, and it helps with this carry if you have either a wrap with contrasting sides or at least contrasting rails. I have both. So you can see on the back, the right side of my wrap, the patterned side, is facing out on the waist pass. And after I flip and hammock the two cross passes, the wrong side of the wrap is showing along that cross pass. Now I'm going to flip the shoulders. What I want to do is make sure that the top rail that is going to be behind baby's shoulders is going to be on the bottom side of the flip. This makes the carry a little more lean proof. So I'm going to, starting on with the wrap on my left shoulder, gather up the bottom rail, the outside rail, most of the width in my left hand, and then flip it up over the other rail. So what was the top rail of most of that cross pass is now the outside rail down to my arm, and the bottom rail coming up under baby's bum is now the top rail near my neck. With it flipped near my collarbone, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side on my right shoulder, gathering the bottom rail and flipping this pass. So there's a twist near my collarbone, and you can see that the top rail that'll be behind baby's shoulders is on the bottom side of that flip, and the bottom rail going up to become the top rail on top of my shoulder near my neck is on top of the flip. All right, and a minor detail, we're going to cross these two tails behind our back, making an X across our back, and to make it easiest when you're tightening, we're going to be tightening this inside pass on our front first. So I want that pass, that tail going over my left shoulder, to be on the bottom side of the X on my back, so that when I go to tighten the second tail, I'm not trying to tighten it across my back through underneath an already tightened pass. So I'm just going to bring that diagonally across my back without introducing any twists. I don't want any twists or flips on the back of my body. Put that between my legs. Bring the other tail diagonally across my body, under my arm. And now I'm just going to tie these tails together in a loose half knot at my waist. And now it's time to put baby in. If needed, you can loosen this knot a little bit and pull some slack from over your shoulders to the front of the carry to make a little bit more room for baby. I'm going to make sure my flips are still in place, which the easiest way for me to do this is to start with the bottom rail of that horizontal back pass, and it comes up to become the top rail of the cross pass, and then again through the shoulder flip to become the bottom rail on my arm. Make sure that's in place on both passes. Now I'm going to get my baby. And I'm going to bunch these two cross passes down so that they make just an X across my chest. And the pass that's coming over my left shoulder, I'm going to put baby's right leg, which is on the left side of my body, into that pass. And the pass that's coming over my right shoulder, I'm going to put baby's left leg, which is on the right side of my body, through that one. So the two passes are making an X over baby's first leg and under their second leg, crossing under their bum. I'm going to settle baby down centered on my chest, close enough to kiss, and if needed, scoop my hands under their bum to scoop their pelvis up a little bit so they're in a nice seated position with their knees higher than their bum, and these passes right in the crease of the back of their knees. Now I'm going to start with the inside pass. And this is where it's really easy to get messed up with the flips. So I'm going to start opposite direction. I'm going to start with that outside rail on the shoulder cap. And that one is going to come under the shoulder flip to be the top rail of the cross pass. I'm going to spread just the one on the inner pass, the inside pass, up over baby's back, all the way up over their shoulders. Front cross carry is not lean proof, so I recommend it only if your baby is willing to stay wrapped arms in. If you wrap it arms out with it under their armpits and they decide to lean back at all, this carry will open up like scissors. So all the way up to their shoulders. And now we're going to tighten. All the tightening is coming from the middle of the back pass and up through the cross passes and over your shoulder. So first we're going to tighten up that back pass, which I'm going to start with the top rail of the back pass. You can see this top rail of the horizontal pass on my back. I'm going to start at the middle marker, pull any slack under my arm to the front, between me and baby, kind of push it towards baby's far knee, push it down, and pull it up to the front of that pass. And I'm going to go through that horizontal pass, strand by strand, pulling slack from the back to the front, under baby's thumb, and to the front of this pass. In the end, this pass is going to be very loose in the front, but the back pass should be nice and snug. And you can start pushing some of this over your shoulder right now if you want, but we'll get to it eventually. Now I'm going to do the same with the other cross pass. I'm going to find the outside rail on my arm of the shoulder cap. Make sure that's on the bottom side of the flip at my collarbone, and bring it up as the top rail over baby's back. Tucking their arms in all the way up to their shoulders. And now I'm going to tighten up that back pass on the other side, starting with the top rail, going between me and baby, and pushing it under baby's bum to the front of that pass. Strand by strand. The pass, the horizontal pass going across your back, does not have to be spread super wide, but it does need to be spread evenly and fairly flat, not bunched or twisted. So if I can, I'm about ready to tighten these passes. So let me undo my half nut, holding tension on both tails. I'm going to pull them up a little bit so that you can see that horizontal pass is spread nice and evenly. Not super wide, but spread out enough to take some weight off of the shoulders. Okay, now I'm going to fix my shoulder flips first. Make sure that any excess bunching is up by my neck. That's what I find comfiest for this kind of shoulder flip. And that the outside rail is pulled down onto my arm, so that kind of makes a bit of a horizontal line as much as possible from baby's neck across my arm. And then I'm going to start by tightening the inside crosspass. So the inside crosspass here is coming up over baby's back and over my left shoulder, which means it connects to the tail under my right arm. So I'm going to start by tightening that one strand by strand. I'm going to start with the top rail, pull it back behind me. I'm not going to tighten this too aggressively because you don't want it to dig into your neck. But I am going to tighten strand by strand, reaching behind me for slack, and making sure to walk any slack out of those front passes by kind of shrugging my shoulder back and walking the slack back up over my shoulder. And the lower I get into the wrap, the more that becomes crucial. The top rail will move fairly easily on its own. The rest of them may need some help. And then I'm going to tighten the other side. Again, top rail. Passing that top rail to my other hand since it's already tightened. Reaching behind me for the next strand. Working my way through the width. Walking any slack back. It's particularly important to pay attention to tightening the bottom rail that's going across your back and across the shoulder flip really well, because that makes the top rail through the shoulder flip, that makes the top rail behind baby's neck. So that's what's really supporting a lot of baby's weight right there. Once you've done your strand by strand tightening, you can hold wrap tighten to snug up the entire carry, where you take right tail in your right hand, left tail in your left hand, pull them out to the side, and kind of pull the whole width while walking slack back behind your shoulders. The other option you have here is if you feel like the whole carry is getting over tightened, you can walk some slack back into the front passes in a controlled manner. Now that everything's evenly tightened, by very gently loosening how tightly you're pulling these out. Pull them in a little closer to your body, the tails a little closer to your body, and then use your shoulders to actually walk slack back towards the front. Now, most carries that tie under baby's bum, it's really important to go over baby's legs with the bunch passes and then tie, because for a lot of carries like this, if you don't, the bunch passes can actually slide up between you and baby, introducing a lot of slack into the carry. This is one of the only carries where that doesn't really do that because of the waist pass and the cross passes. So if you feel like the bunch passes are overwhelming baby's legs and you want to go under their legs, that's fine too. So I'm going to tie off with a double knot under baby's bum. Tying the first half knot, pulling that snug, and tying the second half knot to make a double knot. And at that point, you have a poppable carry. It took a lot of tightening to get to this point, but now you have a fairly quick carry that you can leave on for the rest of the day. If you like, you can take baby in and out. To take baby out, you're going to start by uncapping the shoulders, pushing those bottom rails up onto the top of your shoulder, which introduces top rail slack into those cross passes. And you can peel those down, outside pass down, inside pass down, exposing baby's back. So baby's just sitting on that bunched X again, and lift baby straight up and out. And then you can wear this through the day as needed, and when you need to put baby back in, pull everything back to the, any slack back into the front cross passes. Put baby back into that X. Make sure you find the right rail so you don't lose your twists. Starting with the top, the outside rail on your shoulder cap, finding that underneath the shoulder flip, pulling it up over baby's back, all the way up to their neck. You might need to reach between you and get those hammocks back in place. Scoop the pelvis back up, and then just recap the shoulder, which will retighten that top rail. And I didn't even have to untie the knot. I didn't have to re-tighten anything. And it's still fairly well tightened and very comfortable. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoy this series.